Let's go. It's your man, Mike Bowens, coming to you once again, live and direct. Listen, I got another powerful message for you. And this is one that you definitely want to listen to and one that you want to apply to your life. This message is entitled Emergency Preparedness. Emergency Preparedness. What are you talking about, Mike? I'm talking about in the times that we live in, there's a lot of uncertainty that's going on. But if you can hear what the Spirit of the Lord is saying, if you can see what God is showing, right, the people that's in tune with Him, then you understand where I'm coming from. So emergency preparedness. Now, let me go down the line here. America is printing out these stimulus packages, these stimulus checks, and constantly give them out to people. And there's a lot of people that you're sitting home, you're waiting, and you're like, well, I'm just going to sit here. I'm just going to wait. I'm going to twirl my thumbs. I'm going to whatever. I'm not saying you to be sarcastic. I'm saying like people are waiting for this thing to be over while the government keeps printing out money. So while the government keeps printing out money and keeps sending money, what they are doing essentially is causing hyperinflation. Because economics says that when you put too much money into the economy, it causes inflation. And if it's too much, it will cause hyperinflation. And so by doing so, the value of the dollar won't mean anything, right? And so a price for a loaf of bread can be like $100. They're already talking about food shortages, right? But if people not paying attention to these things and being alert, because they think that when you talk like this, emergency preparedness, that you're afraid and you're scared. No, you're smart. You're wise. Because you're not putting your hope in the government. You're not putting your hope into the food industry. You're putting your trust in God. And I'm not saying that you just be a hoarder, like some people just, they just do it just because they're afraid. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that you will understand the times and the seasons that you're in, and you will prepare accordingly, right? And so God has been giving dreams and visions to many people, right? And He'll speak to you to let you know where we are and what you should be doing in this time of life. And just like in the Bible, before a famine came, God gave Joseph dreams and kept giving him visions and kept giving him understanding. And He also gave dreams to the Pharaoh. And He gave dreams to the Pharaoh because the Pharaoh kept having this dream and he didn't understand why he seen 7 fatted cows, then he seen 7 unnourished cows. 7 cows that were dying. Cattle that were dying. 7 cattle that were abundantly nourished and 7 cattle that were abundantly malnourished. And He brought the dream to Joseph. And when Joseph interpreted the dream, because that was a gift that God had given him, when he interpreted the dream, he said, the Pharaoh, the dream are one and the same. The first 7 fatted cattle that you see are 7 abundant years that's coming upon the land. And the 7 malnourished cattle are 7 years of lean famine years coming upon the land. Here's what we should do. We should take 1/10 of everything that we have here and store it away. So when the 7 years are up of good years, we'll be able to make it through strongly without any type of problems through the 7 years of famine. And apparently, nobody else in the lands around were thinking like that. Nobody else in the land were getting visions like this. So they were not prepared when they came. And when you read the scriptures, it says that people was coming from all over asking for food. But, Joseph was actually a shrewd businessman, because they end up owning people's houses, people's lands, people's cattle, everything that they had, that when this whole famine was over, because they were prepared. So it will be so bad and so terrible that if people did not prepare from now, and they have young babies, or even if you're a single person, but can you imagine your baby not being able to eat? Government programs shut down, no food pantries have food. And even right now, if you look throughout the country, there's Japanese moths that just have come into the country, and they're saying they're trying to keep them under control, that actually eats away at crops, actually eats away at the vegetation. and it says within 1 to 2 years, if it's not managed, they can devour all the vegetation off of all the farms. Look it up, Japanese moss. And so listen, let me go to the scripture and what it said about Joseph. So it says, and this is Genesis chapter 41 verse 49. Genesis chapter 41 verse 49. It says, and Joseph stored up grain in great abundance. Was it a little bit? Was it for a week? Was it for 2 weeks? No, because he knew it was for 7 years. And Joseph stored up grain in great abundance, like the sand of the sea, until he ceased to measure it, for it could not be measured. So when the famine had spread over all the land, Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold to the Egyptians. Now, I wouldn't suggest you storing up all this food and try to sell it to people, because people are going to be hungry and people turn into savages. You take away food from somebody who cannot eat and they have no other option, and they know that you have food and you're trying to sell it to them, you're going to have a war on your hands. And I see people all over the place. I don't know if you pay attention to this, people buying guns left and right. People loading up, right? And so if you factor in that they're printing out, the government's printing out all of this money, which can bring everything to hyperinflation, and then you factor in that you have the farmers who are not able to, they're being told to crush their eggs, throw away their milk, they're not able to take their products and bring them over into residential, because the food industry is separated from commercial and residential. So you have commercial industries like arenas, colleges, universities, high schools, junior high schools, elementary schools, shut down, closed. So guess what? Those commercial items are not able to go there. So they're telling those farmers and stuff to throw away that food. So essentially, they're losing money, they're losing business. So how long can they continue to run? As opposed to basically bringing everything into one. So now you have the residential farmers who are bringing their foods into the grocery stores. So now it looks like there's a shortage because people are buying it more in abundance. People are home, people not going out. So they're eating more, they're consuming more, they're buying more. But then you don't have the commercial food to supply the needs as well. So if they would combine the two, there's enough food to feed everybody. And it wouldn't cause the panic. It wouldn't cause what's happening right now. And so you figure the hyperinflation, that's a possibility. The lack of food, right? Then you include the natural, like I said, the Japanese moths and other things like that eats away at the vegetation. Now, if it so happened that a lack of rain came, this is what you're looking at, a famine. You're looking at a time where people don't have food. And so you want to be proactive. You don't want to be fearful, but you want to be proactive and carve out a place in your house, your apartment, and begin to put away canned goods, right? Even beans, they last up to 3 years. That you have enough food in your house that you are able to prepare and you're able to live off of. Because guess what? If nothing happens and everything continues to go the way it is, you can eat it, right? You always could drink the water that you store up. But if it does happen and you're not prepared, what are you going to do? Because you think that your good so-called neighbors are going to help you? You think that people are going to help you when they know that they can't get no food for themselves? As time progresses? Oh no. People are not going to do that. And so you got to be proactive and you got to follow God. You got to ask Him for yourself if this is something that you should do. Because a lot of people want to put their head in the sand and act like these things don't exist. They want to say, oh, this all should just be better. Don't get me. I don't feel like nobody's more positive than me. But at the same time, and I don't mean that in an arrogant way. I'm saying, like, when I talk to some people about this, they're like, oh, this will all just blow over. As opposed to saying, like, hey, you're just being negative. Like, really? And so, like I said, make sure you have your water stacked up. Make sure you have your food stacked up and you are prepared. Like I said, I'll say this again before I close out. If nothing happens and everything goes normal, you're good. You always can drink that water. You always can cook that food. But if it does happen and you don't have it, then you are out of luck. And it'll be a very difficult time for you and your family. And I'll close off with this. I remember years ago, like 20 years ago, I worked with AmeriCorps. And we worked in all weather conditions. And I remember being outside, and it was the news said it was going to be warmer than it actually turned out to be. So I didn't prepare. I didn't come out with layers of clothing. I came out with a sweater, some pants, boots, gloves, mask. And so I'm out there, I'm freezing. And one of my coworkers said to me, which I'll never forget it. It's like 20 years ago. He said, Mike, when you do this kind of work, no matter what the news says, always prepare like it's going to be really cold. Wear more layers, because if it's hot, you can always take the layers off to where you feel comfortable. But if you come out and you don't have enough layers on and you're already far from home, you can't put more layers on, and you can get pneumonia, you can catch pneumonia or the flu, and you could be in really bad shape. Boom, that was a bomb going off, because I never forgot that. And so I take it into same principles with life. If nothing happens, cool, I can eat this food, I'm good. I can drink this water. But if something does happen, I'm prepared. So I hope this message encourage somebody. If you want, go back to Genesis chapter 41 through 49, and read it, dissect it, and ask God, is this something that you should be doing? Don't wait. Don't look around and look at other people. What, you think I should do this? You think I should do that? Ask God, He's going to show you. And the written word is showing you. Look around at the economy. Look what's happening. And then you will understand the times and seasons that we are living in. Until next time, this is your man, Mike Bowens. I'm signing off, and I'm saying, be blessed.